Hello, welcome everyone to this meeting. We are going to start shortly. We're waiting for some people to come in. We definitely had a lot of interest today. So we will be starting shortly and give us a couple minutes. And thank you all for your interest in showing up. And we kindly ask that everybody mute and make sure that your computers are muted in respect for others, as we have a lot of great information today and we don't need any distractions. But thank you all so much for coming. But we will give a couple minutes and we're going to get started. Hello, all. As I stated before, we just got started. We're getting started in our meeting. It is now 7 o'clock. We're going to give ourselves about 2 more minutes, and then we're going to get started in the presentation. We definitely have a lot of great information going on. I do
Hello,
know,
all. As I stated before, we just got started. We're getting started in our meeting. It is now.
Sorry about that. Had was checking out the live while we were starting. I did see a note that there is a county executive debate, and we do understand. However, because of the urgency of this event, in light of the fact that a pre-application is coming, we definitely could not cancel our meeting tonight. So we do understand for those of you who are interested in the county executive meeting. I will note that county executive debate, we do have this meeting also streaming on YouTube, and it will be on YouTube going forward. So if you have to jump off to watch the county executive debate, you can definitely watch the rest of this on YouTube. Okay. All right. So we're going to get started in a couple minutes, and I would say at 7:05 we're going to get started to move this forward.
Gary Murray, is that you from Woodmore, Gary Murray?
Hey, Pat, if you don't mind, since we're live, can you
Oh,
mute,
oh,
please? Thank you. All right, we're at 94, so get a couple more minutes and we're going to get started. Okay, everyone, we're going to get started. I just want to introduce myself for those, most of you should know who I am, but if not, I'm Councilwoman Walla Blagay. I represent District 6. I have been representing it for now. This is year 3, and I've enjoyed representing most of you on this call. I most likely live in my district. And I would say when I came in, one of the things when I did door knocking in Beechtree, we talked a lot about making sure that we could bring some retail or some options to Beechtree, which was a community that has had so many, a vacant lot in the community for a long time. And I do want to go that I did do some research when I first started. And one of the things that came to our attention is that this was a development that was brought to the county 20 years ago, almost 2,000 homes. But the biggest concern has been the lot on Leeland Road, which was initially put forth that was going to be some options of retail. What had come to my attention after meeting with the broker, the owner, which who at that time was out of Texas, and some others, they had explained to me that there had been at least 20 years of efforts to try to bring quality retail to this area, and they had actually
Very much speakers.
the zoning to make sure that they could do that. And I want to note to everyone, please, everybody, if you all can mute. And also, I did want to also note that we have a Q&A. So if you have any questions that you want to do before we have a question and answer section, which will be later, I do ask that everyone, you could either, you can put all of your question and answers in that section, but we will have a short question and answer. Someone said my sound is going out. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I wanted to go back to what I was saying before. We had an issue. They said that there have been 20 years of efforts to bring some retail options there, and they have been turned down at every point. So there were, and because of the fact that, and I will explain as we had a meeting before, that there was just a limited number of homes, or there wasn't a lot of homes in this area. Some people might argue that the Beechtree community has 2,000 homes there. But for some of the retailers that we were going out, we have heard the word Whole Foods, some others, they would like not 2,000 homes, but 50,000 homes. So a high number of homes. Now, I would note that one of the things that confused me was that this section was right off of 301, which was a major intersection. So which we should have thought would have at least brought, you can at least include in the traffic that's coming off of 301. However, they had a very difficult time. There was, a lot of meetings. So when I came in, they said that they had done all they could and they just couldn't find anyone. And there was discussion. I remember when I was running of bringing some apartments there, which people did not like that idea, or just more housing, which frustrated a lot of people. So, in the midst of trying to figure out what to do with this, we got an offer. And the offer came from a developer who is on this call, along with some investors, to bring a restaurant, park, and townhomes to this. And I've told all developers that whatever they brought, it had to include some sort of retail. It could not just be more houses. So they were the first group that came that wasn't talking about housing. Since I came in, most of the people who've actually reached out have had interest has been all just housing. There was an idea of bringing senior homes there, all homes. But this was the first that we received that basically talked about bringing a restaurant. So I just want to go over what we did. So, and I would say this, because of the interest that I had in this development, I started a Leeland Road committee under my office, headed by Angela Smith and her two co-chairs, Terry and Lisa, who will be presenting today, because I wanted to make sure that this proposal is done by the community and not necessarily just by my office or just me, because I wanted to make sure that the community was part of it. So actually, even before all of these offers, while I was looking into these issues, we started the Leland Road Committee. Some people said they didn't know about it, so I do want to make sure we promote how it was promoted to people. example, it was sent through our listserv. We sent it out multiple times through our listserv, emails asking people to join the committee. In addition to our social media push that was shared, the social media push actually let people know we had a committee, and if they had an interest, email us. We got emails of about 20 people, 20 or 30 people. No, actually more like 40 exactly. To be 40, almost 40 people showed interest. And we started having meetings. Angela Smith, who is a resident in Beechtree and a community leader, was one of the people who actually brought the idea of the concerns in Beechtree to me when I was running. She started to chair it, and they've been meeting every month. And what was happening during the beginning of the meetings, it was more about what do we want to see, and then we got this offer. And the offer on the table was for a restaurant, park, and townhomes. Now, what I would tell you is that because we got this, we wanted to make sure the community was involved. We did invite the HOA to a meeting that we had with the HOA and the community, and the Leland Road Committee took leadership at this meeting. But I did want to hear from people of what they wanted. What was clear from the residents is that they did not want just any type of nail salon, beauty supply store, liquor store, all of those things that were concerned. So the only way that you could really confirm that is to do an agreement, basically a covenant. And just, maybe my legal background, a covenant is restriction on a land, property. And the community took leadership along with the HOA to do a covenant, and they will share that with you all. But the covenant did make it clear that all of the things that could not be put in this section for the retail side of this project. So now the community has been working with the developer and with the HOA to try to come up with a concept that makes sense for the community. And now the developer is ready to file the application. Reason why we're having this meeting today is because I, as a council member, cannot talk to anybody once an application is filed. Because when someone files an application, it goes before the planning board, and then after it goes to the planning board, it can be appealed before the council, and the council sits as what's called district council. And district council is almost like a governing body that makes a decision on whether something is approved or not approved. So because of that, there is a law in our code that doesn't allow ex parte communication, which means I cannot communicate with anyone on the pending case until the pending case is approved or not approved, until district council makes their decision. So because of that, I have to hear all the feedback or make sure residents are informed before the process starts. And really now they're ready to move forward with the process now that the community is involved. I did want to say this because we did have the community involved really for months now. The community has been working with the developer to make sure that their voices are heard. And this was a project, honestly, because one of the things that I heard when I was running, as many of you stated, you did not know what was going on. You felt like you didn't have a voice. So one of the reasons why we started the committee, and we've done it in other places, is so that the committees are active part of the decision making, and that the developer knows that they're working directly with people and hear from them instead of kind of moving on their own. So with that said, the way we're going to do this meeting is that I'm going to have the Leland Road Committee do a presentation led by Angela Smith. They're going to do a presentation, and then we're going to have question and answer because I want you all to hear about the committee and then about the project. And what that would do was allow people to actually see what is there. And then we do have the developer on here too. There is a pre-application process that you all are going to be, that people can be involved with parking planning. We do ask that everybody become persons of record. That is something that in our community we have not been doing, but it's necessary. And if you become persons of record, it really is helpful in making sure that your voices are heard. But with this process, you don't have to be a person of record to be part of this, but we want everybody to be informed. So the first part will be Angela giving a presentation, and then we're going to open it up from some Q&A. We do encourage everyone to use the Q&A section. If you look there, you will see a Q&A section. Use it to actually put in your questions while we're during the presentation. We also ask that nobody interrupt the presentation. The presentation will be done without interruptions. We are asking people to please mute and be respectful. We don't have to want to remove anybody from the room. And then we will have a question and answer where we will ask people to raise their hands and ask questions, and we will have some dialogue questions, and we do have the committee and the developer on here for questions, so people can get the answers to their questions. And at least I will make sure that everybody here is fully informed on what's going on. So I'm going to turn it over to Angela Smith. I do really appreciate the committee for your hard work, because nobody was paid, but you guys did it. And you really worked like this was your job, and we do appreciate you. So I will turn it over to Angela Smith.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. It's a privilege for us to be here. Several of my committee members are online. I just want to thank them, each and every one of them, for their hard work. We've been working now for a little over a year, as the Councilwoman said, and we feel like we have begun to traverse a lot of progress, make a lot of progress on this project, and there's still a lot of work to be done. We will share our contact information at the end. My co-chair will put the contact information also into the chat, into the Q&A area, so that if you want to join the committee, just send us an email and we'll add you to all the correspondence going out going forward. However, I will say that if you tend not to be one that attends the meetings, you will be removed. We want people that are actively working, because we have a lot of activity to cover in the time that we have allotted before us, before the buildings start to go up and major decisions are made. Next. So to give you all a little history, and the Councilwoman touched on a lot of this, this property has been up for sale for 20 plus years. It is a parcel of land that's about 20 acres. It's zoned for mixed use, which means anything can be developed there, from houses, apartments, commercial space, almost anything. And so potential buyers have been looking at it for a long time. There were no bids on it. And so we have been in this community. I'm a Beechtree resident of about 15 years. We've been longing and looking for somebody to show some significant interest. Next. The LRC, as the Councilwoman said, was formed back in October of 23 through her sending out emails and asking for interest. Our first meeting was held on October 11th of 2023. And I'm actually not one to read all the words on the slide. You guys will get a copy of the slide deck after the presentation. You'll be able to read the entire presentation. So we did want to come up with a mission statement, and I do want to read this very clearly for you all. The purpose of our committee, and we worked really hard on this, the purpose of the Leeland Road Committee is to help foster an inclusive, sustainable, and vibrant community through thoughtful, well-planned economic development that respects local heritage, meets the diverse needs of residents, and promotes environmental stewardship. We are dedicated to creating retail spaces that enhance the quality of life, supporting economic growth, and building a strong sense of community for current and future generations. We really want to see that what we have done will sustain. In so many different communities, things come, things go. You see one or two restaurants, stores shut down. We do not want to have this happen at that corner. And so the leadership was selected. As the Councilwoman said, she selected me as the chairperson. I work with her on other leadership areas within her district. And I had shown exclusive, I want to say nagging her about, if she got elected, would she please help bring something to that corner. And she was a woman of her word, and I really appreciate that about her. Thank you so much, Councilwoman, for doing exactly what you said you would do. You did not look left, you did not look right. Within months of her getting into office, she sat me down and we started to talk about what it looked like. And so I solicited from the group that we had met with back in October of 23, people on the committee, for someone interested in being co-chairs. After interviewing a couple of the people that were interested, had some background in the areas that we were looking for, I appointed Lisa Jordan, who's out of the country right now, and Terry Jean Charles, who is on this call right now, to be our co-chairs. The secretary position still remains vacant, and the committee has approximately 40 to 50 members. Like I said, about 15 to 20 attend regular meetings. Also, I would like to add to that, the membership is not only Beechtree. We do have people that belong to our committee that live in Lake Arbor, that live in other communities. So please, it does not matter where you live. If you're interested in what is coming to your neighborhood, and we consider ourselves a neighborhood, please contact the information that we put in the chat and say that you're interested in becoming involved. The initial proposals, as the councilwoman said, we got things from senior apartments that were for rent with no retail at all. They wanted to put hundreds of apartments on that property. Low income senior walk-ups, which we thought was a joke. How are seniors going to do walk-ups? Again, with no retail. There were senior condos with medical offices and professional buildings. And so we were just like, no, 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 no. It just did not give us a warm fuzzy as to what we envision seeing at that corner. Not only does it border 301 Leeland, but it also borders Morris Plain, which is a main street that enters into the Beechtree community. And so as much as we were looking out for the needs of the community, we also, a little bit selfishly, are looking out for the needs of those of us who live in Beechtree and our neighboring communities that support our membership within LRC agreed with us. So we finally got a winning proposal. Atara Enterprises expressed interest in May. It was fabulous. They came, immediately engaged us, came with a plan with some townhouses. A lot of people will ask, well, why are you still doing townhouses when you really just want the commercial space? So many people do not understand that in order to get good commercial space, you have to give a little to get a little. The townhouses and the price points of the townhouses, which are going to be comparable to the price point and cost point of the townhouses here in Beechtree and the neighboring communities, will help to pay for that commercial space. We're going to have 7 to 8 pads of really good restaurants. We preliminarily accepted the offer from Atara. We met with the board of directors here in Beechtree, got them to let Atara give their presentation. They were impressed. We requested a meeting with the council member. Also at that point, Senator Watson got involved. We had some really key people that live in this area really to give us their inputs from the higher ups. Now we're speaking to you all. Yes, the property has been sold, and yes, we are moving forward, but we still want to know what your concerns are. The Beechtree residents had an opportunity through an emergency meeting to voice their concerns. And out of their concerns came a covenant agreement. Those covenants, and I don't mind sharing those as well, Councilwoman Begay, we didn't talk about that, but I will share those with you also so that the district can have those. Those covenants express exactly what can and cannot be built on that corner. We're not just accepting any type of restaurant. Somebody said, is there a middle school involved? No, there is not. We can talk about that during the question and answer. But those covenants discuss that we're not going to have any Chinese carry out, no hamburger joints, no drive-throughs. You know, this is going to be a place where you can bring your family and sit down and have a good quality. Hopefully, we hope that you will consider it to be an affordable meal. We want this because we don't have this in our area right now. And we're starving for these types of restaurants. We decided on a restaurant park because of all the things that we offer up and down 301 at Campus Way and some of the surrounding shopping centers. We are missing good quality restaurants. And I think you all would agree that we go so far to get those needs met. To Gambrills, to Annapolis, to DC, to Virginia, to Baltimore, to the Wharf, to the Washington Harbor. There's a lot of places that we go to get our our food needs, our good quality food needs met. And so prior to the buyer-seller agreement being signed and the deposit being made, we all met with this developer and he did not have a question. He signed off. Next slide, please. He signed off on a covenant agreement with our Beechtree Association, which legally gives us leverage to compile him to be compliant with the terms and agreements that are attached to the property, which means if he does not do the things that he said he would do in that agreement, we can hold him legally liable. Not only that, but he agreed to follow the architectural design work that is within Beechtree for other buildings that are similar in nature to what he's going to be doing on that on that corner, so that we will be able to look at that property and see that it looks and feels like it belongs where it sits. Not that it's just something thrown up with some aluminum awnings that doesn't really fit in a state type community, luxury golf course community that it is going to be a part of. Some of you say, and I keep saying a part of, I'm not saying that it's going to be annexed into Beechtree, but as in a part of, which means it does sit inside of and is somewhat attached to Beechtree. Annexation, for those of you all that are Beechtree residents, will be something that is discussed as a community. Look out for the meeting notices at a different time. And so based on the feedback and comments that were provided, we were able to meet terms and conditions. He accepted them without contest, and that was very impressive to us. That he said, yes, looking at the architectural specs, I can do that. I will get with the builder. He will make sure that he takes care of making sure that all the homes are the same square footage, making sure that there is wide, that the garages, mimic those townhouses that have backload garages. He was very on purpose about talking with us. And so finally, previous promises of retail by the original developer who came here, we never saw it. And most of you who live in this neighborhood, we never saw it. We got offered apartments and subsidized housing. Even right down the street, there's subsidized housing. So we did not want any of that included in this beautiful property here. We don't have the availability like we used to at the Lake Presidential Golf Course to be able to have consistent options of dining. Half the time they're closing at 6 o'clock. Some days they don't open at all. And so we want to make sure that what we're bringing to this corner is going to be something that we can all be proud of. Everyone on this call that lives in District 6 will hopefully come and enjoy a good meal at this restaurant park. And we're inviting you to not only get involved, attend the March 5th meeting, come out. We have not gotten a list of restaurants that we're like, this is what's going there. Because after this meeting, you all will get a survey and you all help us decide and shape what is chosen and selected to go there. Because like the councilwoman said, we do want to hear from you. We want to know, do you want Chinese or American? Are you a steak person or do you want Mediterranean food? I'm sure we all want healthy options. Are you vegetarian and vegan? We really want to know what you all think. And so I want to open it up for questions and answers, but I do want to show you just a couple of renditions and pictures that I know you all are itching to see. So let me just show you this. The developers provided these renditions of the property. So this is what the property looks like. Like I said, it is what borders Leeland Road, Crane Highway, and Morris Plain. The streets have already kind of been predefined on the major streets. There will be an entrance that comes off of Leeland Road and an entrance that comes off of Crane Highway. So what you see, if you're looking directly at your screen, to the left is townhouses, to the bottom right is townhouses. The two larger buildings at the top right-hand corner and the furthest most building to the right is the restaurant parks. That is going to be subdivided into 7 restaurants, a larger restaurant and several smaller restaurants, cafe size, smaller entities, and then a larger restaurant, like on the scope of something like larger. I can't get like a 7,000 square foot restaurant, if you can imagine that. The next slide, please. This is just a first WAG, and this is not what the final look is going to be by any stretch, but this is what the first look. Caruso is going to be the builder of what the townhomes are going to look like. This is the front with the same similar options to what you see out here in Beechtree. Same aesthetic look and feel, of course, following the architectural designs that the builder has been provided, that he is sharing with the with the builder, that the developer has received. The next one, this is the backs. Again, these are going to be all back-loaded garages. They will have some of the rooftop decks that you see over in Pentland Hills. If you live in Beechtree, some of the Pentland Hills townhouses do have rooftops. And so you will have the option of the rooftop look in these townhomes also. Next. This is a side view. There are some slight architectural design changes that we've made, and Patrick and myself will talk to these during the Q&A, but this is basically the side view of what the sides of the townhomes will look like if you happen to have an in unit. Slow down just a little bit for me. This is okay, go ahead now, I'm sorry. This is the proposed restaurant park area. This was our first WAG. Again, I'm just saying this is a WAG. Nothing is concrete. Walls can be moved and slid, but this also includes general square footage just from us playing around with it. We have something like a bakery, ice creamery, a restaurant, a sweet shop, a breakfast lunch type of spot on that top row. And on the bottom row, like I was saying earlier, we have a large, like 7,000 foot type restaurant, you know, family style or other. So we definitely want to be able to appeal to everyone. If you want to come in and grab your lunch and take it with you, grab some breakfast, eat it in the shop or take it out, those things are there. So we want to make sure that we show you at least some of the layouts that we're looking at. Can you go to the next layout? This layout was made completely based on the community center. If you've driven past the community center in Beechtree, this probably looks very, very similar to you. So this was made looking at the community center in Beechtree, where you have the restaurants under each awning. The same exact rendition. The bigger building B is a 7 square foot restaurant. Building A being the exact same names as you saw earlier, but just with a different look. We're still playing with elevations and look. So we want everybody to be able to, you know, if you want to even put in the chat or in the Q&A, I liked layout A or I liked layout B. We would love to know how you feel about the layouts even. And that is the final slide in this presentation. So we appreciate your time. I hope I didn't go too fast. If I did and there's something you want us to put back at, that's also included in the Q&A portion. This is our contact information. Again, please feel free to join our committee. Even if you have a question that does not get answered tonight, you can pose that question to this email address and we'll try to get you an answer back. That's all I have, Councilwoman.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we could bring this presentation down and we can stop sharing the screen, and I am going to pin myself up so we can start with the question. So we're going to open it up for question and answer. There were a couple of questions that I already saw in the chat, so I wanted to jump ahead with those because some of those will fall into my camp. And then some of those will fall into question. Now, I would say what we're going to do, and I'll turn it over to Devin after I speak, is that we're going to have people raise their hands. And if you raise your hand, then we would be able to recognize people. So if you could raise your hands, that would be good. And I'll let Devin tell you all how to raise your hands. But let me start with this. There was a question about schools. The school issue is a bigger issue. First of all, this area was not designated for a school, but let me just say this. if you designate land for a school, that is the cheapest thing. The biggest thing is putting a building up, and the county does not have money for that right now. As you all see, we did just approved a P3 with 6 schools, and we have a P3 with 6 schools that they didn't done before. So 12 schools. I was actually 8 schools right now. So it's 6 and 8 are all on P3s that we have to pay for the next 30 years. So for right now, we do not. Sorry, I've been muted. Um, so right now we do not have the money to put up a new school right now. That's something we're going to have to fight for long term. But right now, I would tell you we do not have the money. As you all know, we are facing a over $200 million deficit, and it could even be more when we see the impact of the Trump administration. So I just wanted to address that this does not include a school right now. And frankly, right now, we do not have a money for a new school in light of the recent agreements that we have with the 30-year request. So we are going, that's going to be a long-term fight. Next thing I wanted to talk about, and this will be something that Angela and those will talk about. They were sent, I know many of you all that received the notice of this, the committee sent us a survey. And the survey is supposed to actually get inquiries of what type of restaurants people want to see at this location. So and the if somebody could post the link in the chat, that would be good. We do want everybody to fill that out, and we're going to share that too with the team. I did reach out to Busboys and Poets. That was one of the places that I wanted to go there. Right now, Busboys and Poets is in the midst of a negotiation at going to Bowie State. Because of that possible, until that's done, they did not want to pick another location within the area of Bowie. So because of that, we do not have busboys right now, but we are looking for others. We do want to get some feedback, and the developer is open to getting requests if we have them. So we definitely want to look into that. And then the other issue that came up, someone brought up parking multiple times. Parking is something that will be handled directly at parking planning. We do ask people become persons of record. Part of when you put in a plan, you do have to actually outline how there's going to be parking before parking planning will approve it. So that's something that's very much detailed in the parking planning part, but I'm pretty sure the developer will provide, and Angela will provide more information. So I'm going to turn it over to Devin. If you could, if people know how to raise their hands, and then Devin, I'm gonna turn it over to you so you can help us facilitate the question and answers. Okay, are you there? And Devin, if you can unmute yourself, or we can unmute him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry, my service cut in and out.
Okay. Okay. So if people could raise their hand, does everybody know how to raise their hand?
Yep. We had a couple questions early on. You addressed the ones about the school, and then my service cut out. But I put in the chat if folks can raise their hands, and we can go ahead and answer the question. There is Mr. Jack Thompson. He is the owner of the historical beach house. He wanted to make sure that the developers and HOAs were able to meet with him. He put that in the Q&A section. So we will forward that to the HOA leadership for you, Mr. Jack Thompson, and then we can have that. All right.
Okay. And everyone, and I would say, can you give everybody notice of how to raise their hand?
Yeah. So if you go down on the bottom of the screen, you'll see a section that says reactions. The first button on the reaction that says raise hands. And that way we can unmute you, and then you can ask your individual question from there. And then as your hands are raised, it'll bring you to the top of our QA screen, like we're seeing right now. And so Ayana, if you want to call up the hands, but I see two. I have Mr. Derek, I believe. You may unmute and ask your question. And just if you can, just be mindful of asking one question so we can get through all the residents. Mr. Derek?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. I just want to say thank you, Walla, and the committee for taking the time out. I know a lot of people on the call have been hearing things and concerns. I just had one question. There will be no 24-hour smoke shops in this property, correct?
Correct. I believe that's already, let me just address that. First of all, 24-hour smoke shops could not be approved in this going forward anyway, because we passed the law in 2023 that all 24-hour convenience stores have to go into the industrial zone going after 2025, and this will be the application after nothing could be approved. So anything, any approval would have to be they would no longer be able to have a tobacco shop in this location. But I believe this has been addressed in the covenant that was signed. But I will tell you, even under our law that we passed the bill that I sponsored, it cannot go into anything but industrial zones going forward.
Okay, thank you. And then I had one more question. I'm a local franchisee. Where could I get some information to connect with the developer to possibly get into the survey?
Pat, can you put your information in chat?
Thank you so much, Mr. Derek. I have Mr. Adrian Turner, I believe, nickname Mud.
Yes.
All right.
Good evening. My question, because I'm an educator, and I know that in this area or 301 is we got Kettering and James Madison Middle School. And my concern is that are we gonna get some schools and community centers built that our students don't have to travel so far to go to school, but also to help cut down on or help give them opportunities to do something besides just hang out.
Yes, so I answered that before. We will consider that as this is being built, but I would tell you right now, because of our budget issue, we will not be building any new schools for the next couple years. But we do want to do an assessment. We do have, we also, there is a concern about waiting until the new schools are opening. We know we have a elementary school at Fairwood that will be opening and a lot more in the North County. So after they open those, there will be another assessment that will give me the space to actually argue whether we need a new school. Because part of this, I just want to note with the schools, we have some schools that are packed, right? But we have some schools that are under capacity right now, but there's a lot of building going on. So we've actually asked that there needs to be an assessment done. But right now, they're going to hold off on the assessment because of the fact that we have at least a couple new schools coming in the area in the next 2 years. So I will say this is something that I will keep on my watch and actually do an assessment on. As for a community center, we can look at park and planning to see if we could entertain a community center not too far away from here. All right, next question.
All right. Thank you so much. Miss Kimberly.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. Good afternoon. I'm sorry I came in late, so apologies if this has already been answered. Can you please tell me how many homes will be built? How many homes will be built, number one, and was the consideration taken for the oversaturation of 301 and Crane Highway currently where we sit? We have almost 6,000 new homes coming up and down the highway. So was there a consideration made there?
So before she asks, she's going to ask that question for homes. But right now, we actually need a little more homes in this area for us to be able to get the retail that we're trying to get. But I will tell you, there are 3 new developments coming off of 301. And one of them actually has retail coming also, which will be Mill Branch. Mill Branch off of 301 has some houses, but also some retail that's coming also. So that's to be considered amongst this. Now, I will tell you this. I did reach out to Senator Juan Watson because we do need to make sure that we look at the expansion and upgrade of 301. So we're starting that process at the state level because there is a lot of movement. National Capital Business Park, which is next door. But the reality is that I will tell you this, we don't have the capacity, we don't have the numbers of homes off 301 to get the retail that we've been looking for. And that's actually been the biggest issue of developing in and around Beechtree, is because Beechtree is actually is in the middle of 2,000 homes. But if you go up the road, you do have Oak Creek and some others. But again, that is not even if you count those homes, you're talking about not even 10,000 homes around. So some of them have actually said that this was not busy enough for them to consider. But we do know that with the new development, that would allow us to enhance our ability to get some more quality retail off 301. But it is being considered. I would tell you, I think it's about 100 and something homes. I'll turn it over to them, which does not make a dent. This is much smaller than Mill Branch and even South Lake.
Can we let Patrick say something in regards to all of that? Patrick, can you speak to the number of homes as well as to?
Yes. There'll be 140 townhouses. And again, Angela, Councilmember Begay, thank you for this. The builders Caruso Homes, but I want everybody to know this is very special to me personally. I'm a partner with Jay Attar on the project, and I actually assembled the entire Beechtree community back in 1986 and 1987. As it relates, and it's interesting that this is the last section. So I'd like to do this right. I'm from Prince George's County, born and raised in Prince George's County. Some of you, Gary Murray, I see is on the line, may remember Jerry's Seafood in Seabrook. Very proud of that. My father-in-law, we have deep roots here. But as it relates to this restaurant park, a friend of mine who I went to high school with, his name is Jimmy Spiros. His partner is Warren Thompson of the Thompson Hospitality Group. Warren is one of the largest minority restaurateurs, if not the largest, in the United States. And I urge everybody to go to his website, go to Thompson Hospitality or Thompson Restaurants, and you'll see Cut 132, The Social House, Hen Quarter, Milk and Honey, just to name a few. These are sit-down quality restaurants. And that's what we plan to bring to Beechtree. Now, they have to be sustainable. And when I say sustainable, I want to make sure whatever we bring to Beechtree will be there 5, 10, 15 years from now. But I'm open. There was a gentleman that started this conversation. If there's anybody out there that is a franchisee of a restaurant, call me. And Angela, you've got I don't know how to put this on the website, but Angela, just contact Angela. She's got my contact information, right. Councilmember Blagay, and I'd like to hear from you. But these are the kind of restaurants we're talking about.
Okay, so what we would do is that if you are interested in having a restaurant, right, we have a quality option, please contact the Leeland Road Committee, and then the Leeland Road Committee will forward the information over to the developer. But for 301, I do understand the concern. Help is on the way. Something has to be done to 301 anyway. 100 houses won't make a difference. The Mill Branch and the development overall, those two big developments are we're going to make upgrades on 301. So that is, we've already put the question in for that, to the upgrades on the road. And I will say the Mill Branch, part of their approval requires substantial upgrades on 301.
Councilwoman, one second.
Hold on 1 second.
1 second. I heard you. This is Kimberly. I was asking about the type of surveys that was done to support the build, because we are oversaturated. I am the president of the Balmore HOA, and we have had 3 deaths at the corner of Governor's Park where we're hoping to get a light. So
yeah, we put your name, we put your request in for Governor's Park already, and there's supposed to be a survey, a study done to address that issue of the park. So that is something that has to be done anyway. And remember, you all did the traffic survey, and we took that and we have sent that over to the state. So the state is supposed to be looking into that, and we're going to follow up with them so we can get some answers for you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to the next question, because we got to move forward. We want to make sure everybody gets their question answered.
All right, we have Miss Zayla or Zula Vanessa.
Miss Zula.
Zula.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
How are you doing? Thank you for this event. This is the first one I've ever seen since I've been here 14 years. I got a question to ask you, and some things you're saying were, I've been working on this, working with people on this thing for 14 years, 15 years, 17 years. But I'm interested in having some type of grocery store. I'll tell you why. My premise when I came here was to ride my bike to the grocery store. And and restaurants are great. One restaurant would be fantastic because we do have a golf club, we do have a golf course that should have a restaurant there too. So my recommendation is to have some type of mom's health food store because we don't, that's very limited in our community, in African American communities, a health food store. And I know I worked with Trader Joe's for a while, but I know what happened to Trader Joe's. And so I would like to see if we can get a mom's health food store in this community. And also, as far as the traffic is concerned and gauging the population, we need to do another method in identifying rooftops. You don't count the rooftops because you always lose. Because, and you know, the history of how other people use our rooftops. But I recommend that you go and do assessment of the various communities in this area, especially 301 traffic. And then you also have Davidsonville. Davidsonville people, I have a friend lives in Davidsonville, and she said if you had a Trader Joe's in this community, I would come to this Trader Joe's because it's closer to me. So I think we're doing assessments incorrectly.
Let me just answer that first. All of the grocery stores said no. They have no interest in coming. Trader Joe's said no. Mom said no. Them said no. The bigger issue was is because of the lack of this not enough movement. The actual rooftops is the problem. If you go to there, it's surrounded by trees. And moms, and when we've talked to, I've spoken to at least the representative, connected me to the person with moms. The other developer, in fact, the owner before actually looked into this. That was what they actually focused on years, was bringing a grocer, and all of the grocers said no because when they took a look at it, it was surrounded by basic basically like trees and not necessarily surrounded by enough homes for them. So while we might think it's a lot of rooftops for grocers, it was not enough. So that's been the issue for us, and that's what we were waiting on. That was my focus when I got in, was to bring a grocery store, and the grocery stores had consistently said no. It just wasn't a busy enough this intersection. What makes it worse is that Southlake just got approved, and Southlake is bringing a giant that's supposed to be huge right down the street, which makes
Yeah.
it worse.
And also, I just saw a couple comments in the chat. Please use the survey, neighbors, to comment on the type of quality of restaurants you would like to see. Those aren't things we're going to discuss on the question and answers or on this form. That's not the purpose of the form, but please use the survey link we had dropped. And I think that Angela Smith had put the email in there for the Leeland Road Project email address. Please use that directly to get in contact with her, just to respond to that. I have Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee Eisman, how are you?
Mr. Lee, sorry.
Yes. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yes, sir. The floor is yours.
All right. I got a couple questions. I hope you can bear with me.
If
First off,
if we can do like one main question, and then if we
Yes.
don't get others, then we'll just come back to you, okay? If you mind, so we could just make sure everybody gets their question in.
that's
All right?
fine.
Okay.
I just want to ask, is it a requirement, a county requirement, that the townhouse community have an HOA?
No.
No.
HOAs are done by the community. The community can decide to be a part of a HOA.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well,
Sorry, Devin, you're breaking up. What'd you say?
You can go on with your next question, Mr. Eisman.
Yeah, I was just going to tell him he can ask his second question.
Okay, and then we have walk up that just right.
Okay, second question.
Yeah, second question, and then we'll go to the next person. Go ahead.
Okay, second. So on that diagram of the townhomes, there's an area between the townhomes. It's noted as 7,200 square feet, and it says amenity space. What's the intent of that?
Okay, that's for Angela.
It's actually for Patrick.
Okay. Patrick, can you
Can you
answer?
pull the plan up?
Yeah, she closed out of the whole
I'm
presentation.
sorry.
Okay. Do you recall what that section is for? That says
pull it up.
amenity space.
Where's this?
So,
Do you all recall what that
Go to the site plan.
Okay, go
Okay,
back.
there it is. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
What area are you talking about?
it's on that diagram, it says amenity space, and it's noted as 7,200 square feet.
Where exactly?
Yeah, where exactly is it?
Yeah, I'm looking for that.
Okay, so go to the right of High Street between those two big sections of townhomes.
My
It's
eyes
a
are bad. I
big
didn't
green
see.
area between the townhomes.
That area between Moores Plains Boulevard.
No,
It's like-
it's south of the restaurants. There's two big sections of townhomes. Then there's a green area between the townhomes. If you zoom in, you'll see it says 7,200 square feet and it says amenity space. Right there, yes, where the
Oh,
arrow
right there. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. Okay.
yeah, okay, okay. Those are townhouses that'll be fronting each other. It'll be like a village green. Yeah, that's not for parking or anything like that. It's open space. It's a common area, more like a village green. Now there may be some picnic tables, something like that, but we have to provide some amenity package here. And we'll as we go through the process of park and planning, that'll be determined through the detailed site plan. But that is open space, yes, common area.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Eisman, do you have suggestions of what you want to see there?
Well, no, well, I've always been an advocate that this property needs a pool and a gym for the residents.
Okay.
And that's why, and there's also, if you look in the northwest corner of the property, there's a big green space that says open space.
Got
And
it.
there's nothing noted for it either. That's north of the pond, the waste management.
Mr. Eisen, that area there is unbuildable because of Marlboro clay per Prince George's County.
The space marked open space?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Great questions. Do we have walk up T29@gmail?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening. I just had a question with the development, and maybe because I'm looking from, being in a car driving on 301, with the tearing down of so many trees, what is the plan for replenishing the tree canopy and the animals and the wildlife with their environments are being destroyed? Because I know many of us probably have seen, more animals in the roads and of course the deer population. So is that being considered? For
Yeah.
what I see, it looks like overdevelopment, but it may not be in the lens from your view that it's overdevelopment. But I'm just curious about that, especially when I see all the trees being torn down.
Yes, we actually approved an act on this, and we're going to get that over to you. Devin, do you know the name of that bill that we had? Because we have put in place to keep of the forest and trees. So the forest, I got to get the name of the bill that we voted on last year on that to make sure, and that's something that Park and Planning put in place, and that is supposed to be sort of keeping the tree canopy in place for going forward for development. So the only issue is that we grandfathered everything going forward. I know this lot will not fit into that, but there are other parts of our district that do.
Yeah,
So
and
has been considered.
just to be to provide a little bit clarity with that bill as well. If you drop your email in, Sonia, if you can capture it, I can send that bill over to you directly. But what you are referring to is something that does go in place. It went in place last year. The council passed it, where it just emphasized the tree canopy. I do believe a large portion of this property, though, has already been cleared out and been not having a lot of trees for a number of years. I think you might be talking about just in general with the development along 301 that might be outside of our district, but I do understand what you mean by the South Lake properties and the other properties. But I think this one in this community, most of the trees have been down for a number of years when I did a site visit of it.
Right. So the law in place requires that that green space is put aside for development going forward, and certain areas are not permitted to that we're not permitted to touch to keep the canopy. So and I will find that bill that we did, but we already voted on it. I know it's very controversial because a lot of developers came and said that this will mess up their plan. So we definitely had to do some grandfathering for things that were already put in place. But we
Uh,
did vote on that Forest Act.
Councilwoman, it's CB 77 from 2024.
Right. Okay.
All right.
We'll get more information. Thank you so much. Okay, next person.
Thank you.
Okay, next person can answer the question. The next person, sorry, Devin. The next person I have is Shayla Briscoe.
Hi there. With the increased traffic that we'll see on Morris Plains, has there been consideration given again to creating another Beechtree entrance at Leeland and Lake Forest?
That will be part of the traffic study that will be done when the plan is
Application.
supposed.
I can answer that question.
Okay, go ahead.
So the reason why we don't have that entrance there is because we've tried to buy that property to bring Lake Forest out to Leland. The family that owns that property wants an exorbitant amount of money to buy that. The grandchildren now own it, and because of whatever reasons, they are trying to charge like a lot of money. And so that's why the community has not opted to buy that land that would connect Lake Forest to Leeland.
Okay, so that's good. But I also would note that with all of these, we have put pressure on and I'm actually gonna the actual bill, I'm gonna actually address this thing before because the actual bill, I'm gonna talk about that for the forest issue. But the entrance issue of just traffic in general is something that they're going to consider when the developer puts in the plan. They have to also do a traffic study, and the traffic study is supposed to actually come up with a solution to make sure that with new development that this does not distract traffic, and if it does, that there's another way that people can get out. So that's something, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on that when it comes before the district council. So that's something that I'm glad people brought to our attention, and we will look into that. I understand that there's some other discussions, so I'm glad to know that. I did want to talk about the ordinance for the woodland. It's called the Woodland and Wildlife Habitat Conservation. That's part of it is making sure that they and I will bring that. I think CB 77 was the grandfathering law, but the initial law was CB 20. And so I'm going to give a link of it, but CB 20 was the initial law that we passed. And what happened was that CB 77 was passed because there were certain developments that said that they would not be able to move forward without they would not be able to move forward with this in place because they had already been approved plans. So because of that, that was something. So I will put the bill in there, but this bill is CB 20, and CB 20 is the wildlife and habit and it just, Conservation Act that we passed, and it was in two conservation acts. Next one is Bridget Gant.
Good evening. The question, I did hear somebody ask something about will they have an HOA in that section? And I thought I heard the response was it's up to the builder. My concern is if they don't have an HOA and they're still connected to the community, that can bring down the value of what we had if, the upkeep is not managed or there's not some type of order governing, how they maintain their property.
Understood. And what I would say is that what happens is that the developer can start with the HOA and then they turn it over to the community, and then the community can determine what they want to do, how they move forward. So I would say it's more likely that there will be a HOA at the beginning. The question is what happens when it's turned over to the community. That's something you all could work out, but I could understand why that's a concern. I know in the initial discussion, there were some people who said that they wanted it in the HOA, and some people said they didn't want it in the HOA. So I think that's something that also I'm pretty sure with the capat the if with it being so close to Beechtree, I think that that will become a really a bigger discussion once people start moving in. So I definitely think that's something that can be worked out probably after the approvals. But I think that's a good point brought to the attention. So thank you for noting that.
There were a couple questions about parking. Parking will be addressed within the DSP as after parking planning takes a look at the project to determine adequate parking for the size of the venues for the businesses that are there. So please don't look at the diagram and count in parking spaces. All that is set by a matrix that parking planning uses, as well as how many handicap or disabled spaces have to be available per business unit. Just wanted to address that question for inside the chat. And also, Marie Claire, can you please make sure the survey has a section for recommendations for businesses? One person put that inside the question and answers.
Well, we can add that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can add that question.
So I would say that there was a note that somebody said that people could park their boats and things in the street if they don't have the HOA. Then we're dealing with that anyway. So we did just introduce a bill was just introduced and we had a hearing on it to give the county more power to tow or remove boats. As we have heard that that's been an ongoing issue. So help is on the way on that. So next is Dr. Doran Gresham.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I want to thank the whole group. Thank everybody that's on this call. Our neighborhood absolutely needs this, and I'm sure we're going to support it. I just got one question. I want to know about what comparable areas we're considering and even visiting to get some ideas on style and curb appeal. I'll give you a concrete example. When you go to see Queen Anne's County, which is comparable to Upper Marlboro, it has a charming Italian restaurant. It's fantastic, by the way. It has lively gaming area across the street from the Italian restaurant. It has white lights. You can see that it's very purposeful, but you can also tell that they didn't break the bank in order to do so. So you can watch sports and things like that on Saturdays. It's similar to Upper Marlboro, but it has almost like a Old Town Alexandria charm to it. I want to ensure that we don't just we're creating kind of a destination and not just adding stores to a lot, and that it has some style to it. And I know that sometimes it helps to visit places and get ideas. I live in Upper Marlboro. I've been there for years and years with my family. And when after about 9 o'clock, Upper Marlboro just looks like a deserted town.
Yeah.
And I don't want this to look like that. I want it to have some curb appeal and style. So I'm wondering, what proactive areas are we looking at to get ideas so this looks modern and makes folks want to come to it?
So let me just answer that before. Maybe you should just join the committee because the committee has been actively working on it. They put the survey together. But if you join the committee, I think that's a good point of visiting places and getting ideas that you could give. That was sort of the point of having the committee so they could actively show what they want. So if you join the committee and you have pictures of what you want to see, then share it with the committee and work on doing some stuff because there's been like basically a handful of people in this committee doing all the stuff. So one of the reasons why we also had this is so that other people can be involved in the input. That's the point of having the committee. So
I would be happy to do so. I put my email into the chat and I can do so again. I'm willing to drive folks out to different areas or do whatever it is that you need to have done.
So let me make a comment. If you're putting your email into the chat, nobody is recording that.
Okay.
We need you to email our email address with your interest. So I have
seen. I also filled out the survey too.
Okay, and that doesn't have a question that says, "Are you interested in joining the committee?" So everybody on the call, if you're interested in joining the committee, please email us. We don't have anybody that's actually grabbing your emails out of the chat. I've seen several emails, and because I'm trying to answer questions, I'm not grabbing emails out of the chat either. So we're sorry about that, but that's why we're giving out our contact so you can say, hey, add me to the committee. Quick
Fantastic. If you
email.
could also put your email into the chat, I'll email
Yep,
you.
we keep adding it.
Yeah, Terry,
Okay.
can you post the email again, please? Because you've been great at doing that so that people will be able to respond to that. But that's sort of the point. That's why we did this committee. This is a bit of different from some others. One different point in North County, they have a little more say because they have a lot more municipals. And the municipals are very active in determining that. But we are in an area that has very little municipals. So we're kind of creating our own group so that they can do what a municipal would do. And kind of helping and pushing in what the residents want. So thank you, Angela and team and Terry and Lisa and all of you great people.
And there will be an entrance, guys, off of Leland and off of 301. So keep that in mind. There are 2 additional entrances off of Leland and off of 301. You all probably pass that entrance off of 301 every day and don't notice it. Right now, there's a gate that sits there. But if you look over right before you get over to get in the turning lane to come into Beechtree, you would see the gate. It kind of sits back off the road, but that will eventually be the 301 entrance.
All right. So I think we have Council. We're winding down on time. So I think we have 2 questions, and then Mr. Lee raised his hand again. So I think
I
first
see 3 questions, Devin.
well, they're 4 on my end. So
Oh, okay.
Sure, it's
yep.
4.
So
Well, I
Mr.
see
Rogers, I believe.
Yeah,
was
Rule
the
Rogers.
first.
Well, yes.
Yeah, hi
Rule
guys.
He's
well.
on my committee
Thank
members. I'd
Hey,
like to
thanks.
recognize him as a committee member.
Thank you, Angela. Hello, everyone. I just have a quick question. It's kind of a follow-up. I think it was something that Lee asked earlier, where we had the green space between the townhomes and there was seating going in there. I just want to know if that is the case, if does anyone may have an issue with the potential for attracting any sort of loitering with multiple seating being around. Just may not be a great look. Thank you. Just your thoughts on that.
Good point. But it would be, that's a good point. Thank you. Kay Hayes.
Hi. I just have kind of a piggyback question, I guess, on Dr. Doran. I know you all said it's already slotted or the area has already been set out for like 7 restaurants. Is it definitely set out for 7 restaurants or can it be something else? I just think with what we already have in the area and things that have gone up that haven't lasted, that 7 restaurants is a lot in one area. I'm not really sure because I haven't really had the time to think about it of what else it could be, but just wondering, is it definitely for 7 restaurants? Because that just seems like a lot.
So
Yeah, I think we'll open that for the committee, but I would say there is a long list in that covenant. You all weren't playing around with things that they could not bring. So I think that if it's not there, it could be brought. It just would say restaurants is definitely not one of those that they limited, but I'll turn it over to Angela.
And I guess, let me just say this, and I guess I was possibly also thinking, of course, nothing that would bring anything where somebody would loiter, but I was just wondering, was it ever a consideration like, what is the place? I can't even think. I just drew a blank. The place that sells like the chocolate covered strawberries, edible arrangements, something like that, that necessarily is not open late, like they just may be open regular, like 9 to 5 hours, but still something that I think could benefit from the people that live here, like especially holidays, birthdays, Valentine's Day, all of that stuff. But I was just wondering, was anything like that also considered?
A coffee
So
shop
they would be considered under a dessert. They would be considered under a dessert shop, which is absolutely permitted.
yeah.
Okay.
So
And don't think of it as 7 sit down restaurants either.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
It's not 7, just to be clear, it's not, you don't have
not-
enough for a 7 sit down restaurant. So
Right,
you only have enough
exactly.
for like maybe 2 sit down and the rest will be in and out, but quality. So I would say the only thing I did notice in the agreement is that it was like no like, no certain places that people that your neighbors felt did not value the community. They definitely
Right.
clear. So kudos to Angela. Did you want to say anything else, Angela?
Yeah, so I wanted to make because I see a lot of things flying up about parking and all that. So one of the things that we did take into consideration in looking at this being a restaurant park is we are looking for restaurants that are half-day restaurants, that are closed at 5 o'clock restaurants, because we want to make sure that people who live in that area will have adequate parking in the evening for their families and guests. So if you're a breakfast or lunch spot, you're probably going to close around 2 or 3. If you, like you said, an edible arrangements or dessert type shop, you may close at like 5 o'clock, which again is going to allow more parking for that nice big restaurant that's going to be open possibly until like 10 o'clock. And then if you're, let's just say another little sandwich shop of some sort, you're probably not going to be open all day. So we would like to entertain. And as you all are filling out the survey and typing in your choices, think about those types of spots that are not open all day long.
Okay.
Because we do want to make sure that we're kind of waving in and out the traffic patterns so that we do allow for the massive parking issues that you all seem to be really concerned about, and we were too, to not be as bad as you all may think they will be, because some of those restaurants will be closed by the time the dinner rush hits, come 6 or 7 o'clock when people are off work. So keep that in mind as you're filling out the survey. We do want the breakfast sandwich shops, but those would be closed. And like you said, I'm not sure who you were, the edible arrangements.
Okay. All right. So I think we have one more question. I see your hand, Pat, but I think Miss Janet, you lowered your hand. Okay, great. And there was a question: are any plans to make the community gated for residents only?
No.
Yep. There you go. Note to that. We took care of that as well. I think we answered the question about live Zoo Play. Are there plans to be done with those? Okay, great. Pat, you want to go ahead, and then we'll let
Just
the
real
council.
quick, so I saw a question about the timing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask for that.
We're still. I saw somebody asked about the timing of this. It's years and years from now. It takes 3.5 to 5 years to get through the process, the entitlement process. So I don't think we'll see anything out here for at least 4 years.
All right.
Thank you. And there were some other ones I want to make sure people know. The issue about parking, again, I would say there's something that we could talk about here, but there are requirements of parking requirements that are outlined for parking planning to approve. So with those, I will tell you that's something that while we can go back and forth on it, parking planning has their own requirements that have to be addressed for this to be approved, and we can go through those. I also noticed something in the chat. This is for the group. Please make sure you fill out the survey. Marie Claire, please repost the survey. Somebody said that there should be open up experience like paint bar, brush, spa house, all those. I think those are great ideas. So if we could just like put that there so the committee can look into that, because that is very that is very concerning. So that would, now somebody mentioned also security plan. I would just note under the law and the county, restaurants, a lot of places have to come up with security plans that need to be submitted to DPI for approval. So some of those things are actually addressed with law, and some of these things I'm actually figuring out whatever is not addressed by law, whatever is not in law, but could be something that can impact all the communities. I can look at passing laws to address those things. And
Can I address one other question too when you're finished?
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say when you're finished.
Okay, and I do see some people suggesting things that are in Bowie. The issue about that is just know that that is going to be probably very difficult. A lot of communities don't want to put something there that will bastardize the other one that's so close. So if something is in Bowie, is a likelihood that's going to be harder to get them to come to Beechtree, because Beechtree is so close to Bowie. Janet, did you have any question before we turn it over to Angela? Because I would like Angela and her team to close out since they've done such a good job on this.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having this forum. My question goes to the townhouses. When you showed your initial examples of what the townhouses would look like, when we saw the backside of the townhouses, there were no full-length decks. Is this
And we're
an
working on
option
that,
that
Ms.
should be
Janet.
there or not? What'd you say?
We're working on that with the builder. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
Like I
sweetheart.
said, these were all preliminary.
Okay,
So I hate to show things because people think they're gospel, but this
right.
is all preliminary. To Patrick's point, we're still several years out before dirt's gonna, be broken. So these were preliminary as of him needing to get ready for the pre-application meeting, which again, everyone is on March the 3rd at Lake Presidential Golf Course.
Okay,
Please come out and voice any last minute opinions that you have.
okay. So it's the third, not the fifth. I've seen two
I'm
different
sorry,
dates.
the fifth, the fifth, the fifth, the fifth, the fifth. Third month, fifth date. I keep waiting to say the third. It is March the 5th
Okay,
at 7 p.m.
okay. Can I ask one other question just in general? Not
Yes.
related to this development, but when you're traveling Leland, going back towards Church Road and all of that land that's been cleared out over there, do you all know what's going in there?
Traveling towards, and I gotta say, there are 3 developments coming there.
Yeah.
That's Mill Branch, is down the street. So I'm not sure if you're talking about Mill Branch, but Mill Branch is
No,
down
she's
the
talking
street.
about on Leland Road,
Yes,
Councilwoman.
that's there is a housing development coming up, and there's
Mhm.
also it's National Capital Business Park. It's a
They're
business park
expanding.
that's coming there.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And so
Thank you. And you don't have any idea how many homes that's going to be, do you?
the business park doesn't have homes, but there was another
No.
development that has homes, and I
On
got
the left side, that's behind Beechtree,
yeah,
on that
there's
side of the
another
street.
community that has homes. I think Devin will get back to us on how many homes. Oh, a hundred homes. Devin, we got to go
Oh,
back and see. There's a
okay.
community that's behind Beechtree, and there is Locust Hill. Is it? Yes, Locust.
Locust Hill, that's
Yes,
Toll Brothers.
yeah, that is yes, Locust Hill.
Yeah.
That's the name of the development. Okay, well, thank you all so much.
And so
And I would say
one
that
final closing sentence that I was trying to get out before Miss Janet asked another question.
Mhm.
One of the concerns I know within Beechtree and really getting behind this project is the fact that we're going to inherit potentially so many more townhouses. We've not discussed as a community the annexation, but I have been in close contact and conversations with the board that if we need more amenities to absorb these extra townhomes, they are willing to put forth and get resources to be able to do that. There may not be space available to do that in that actual plot of land that we see on the pictures we just showed, but there will be land available within Beechtree community for an additional gym and additional pool. Those things, there definitely is space available. And the board, the new board is who I've spoken to, is in favor of making those adjustments as necessary. They have also talked to Pat about them as well. Patrick, have we not spoken to you about that? Did he put us on
Absolutely.
mute?
I'm good.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just want everyone.
Hands froze up.
Okay, Angela, you still on?
She froze up.
Okay, she froze up. Okay. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Um, so I definitely
So I apologize.
okay, go
But
ahead.
yeah,
Go back. So you're back.
so that was my main point because I know that is a huge concern for Beechtree residents is the possibility of annexation and the load that it could have on our amenities. So that's all I have to say. Please join our committee. If you're willing to roll up your sleeves and get busy, please don't join our committee if you just want to keep abreast of what's going on.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. I would say that it is great to hear the concern. Some of these things are very much. I definitely need to take something into consideration, and I'm glad that the community is taking some things into consideration too. We do encourage everyone to get active with this Beech Tree development. As you can see, we're 4 years out. These things take time, but this will be one where the community is actively engaged in the process. The only thing they said, where will the meeting can somebody from the committee put in the chat where the meeting will be? For the pre-development meeting, because once that goes through, once this application is accepted, I can't talk to anyone. So really, this is my time to just hear concerns being brought up. So I really appreciate people coming out today. The only thing, like I said before, that I do want to make it clear is that we really tried the grocer, and that was one that just did not work. But we're glad that we have somebody who is interested in developing here and developing some retail, which is one of the biggest cry we have is we've got to have retail, and at least there's some interest there, and that does make me feel better about the options as opposed to just having another more just nothing but homes. So all right, so thank you all so much. Any last words, Angela, before we close?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank you all. We are closing this meeting. Thank you all so much for coming. We've posted the information of my information from my office. So we look forward to hearing from everyone going forward. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for doing this, Walla.
Thanks.